Well, hello, friends, neighbors. John, your whiskey neighbor here. Welcome down the Nook. Saturday, and I know I said I was going to move off value whiskey, but I cracked open the Arran 10 with you, and I have this Lochranza, which is a very value expression from them. And I thought, okay, one more value, and then we'll move on to some better Scotch. So this is going to be another in the value series. It's called Lochranza or Lochranza. It's from the Isle of Arran. It's from the Arran Distillery, and it is a very inexpensive Scotch. Now it's blended Scotch, so that's grain and malt, and I'll tell you what little I know about this when we get back. But if you've got a very entrance blended dram, why don't you pour a little bit and come on back, and we'll talk this Lochranza blended Scotch. 3, 4. Well, thanks for staying with me. I do like that this bottle, says it's from the Arran Distillery. I know Lochranza is, I believe, the town name where they decided to open the Arran Distillery about 25 years ago, somewhere in there. And it says right on there, the heart of this blended Scotch is the famous, I think it says famous, or acclaimed Arran malt. So we know that there's malt in here, but it's a blended Scotch, so we also know that there's some grain whiskeys in here. And it's released, I think 40%. Yeah, it's 40%. I can imagine because of the blue bottle and the price on the shelf here in Canada for about $22 somewhere in there, which is pretty good. That this is colored, filtered, and everything that we don't like about whiskey and that we don't find here in the 10. So I'll give you my thoughts on this blended Scotch, very affordable. And then, I'll compare it to, okay, what if we took the Arran single malt 10-year, and what do we get when we spend, twice as much? Still a good value, but twice as much in a bottle like that. So first, the Lochranza blended Scotch. It's a very sweet nose, a little bit of confectionery sugar, but some honey and some strong vanilla. A grain sweetness. Maybe my mind is telling me that it's a grain sweetness, but it already smells kind of sweet that way. Like a white bread sweetness. All right, let's try it on the palate. Sláinte. This is fairly light. Light fruits, like cut fruits. It's not extremely fruity. It still stays a little bit in that savory, malty sweetness. Yeah, some nice cereal grain sweetness, nice porridge sweetness. That kind of cream of wheat with a bit of brown sugar in there, kind of. Yeah, let's try it again. Yeah, it's not bad. It's very approachable. A little bit of bite on the edges, a little bit of spicing. It kind of comes if you sip it a few times. It's got a little bit of really youthful alcohol, right? So that's that. A little bit of acetone, a little bit of marker. It's not screaming that, but it's definitely there, almost in the finish or when you let it breathe in your mouth, and then you're like, that's kind of got a bit of an like alcohol presence, right? Rubbing alcohol, that kind of stuff that is often not as noticeable when there's a lot of other strong flavors. So it's fairly mild. It's sweet. It's a little more grain forward than fruit forward for me. Could be a little bit of nut in there. Yeah, a little bit of hazelnut, almost like that kind of a bitter nut. Oh, let's try. Certainly for a fairly easy to appreciate Scotch, for the price it is on my shelf here in my market, it's not in any way a bad blended Scotch. It is a little too alcohol forward, lacking, some kind of oaking in the finish, and something to balance the grain note that keeps it from being a favorite or a bottle that I'm going to replace. It'll be, I don't know, a warm-up dram on a night. It's not going to be a favorite, but it's not bad. It's probably a 3-star Scotch kind of thing, which is pretty good for the price. So not bad. why I wanted to shoot it now as opposed to wait. Well, one, I had it already, and I did pick it up this January, so I just bought it. Is that I have the Arran 10-year-old, and one of the things that really is celebrated in the Arran 10-year-old is that it's natural color, non-chill filtered, released at 46, which for a lot of us malt heads are things that we are seeking, right? Especially the honesty, we call them integrity malts, especially the honesty of the color, so you can kind of compare, like, oh, I wonder what it's getting from the casking. And the non-filter really allows a lot of the oils or waxes that can be removed in that process to still speak in this whiskey. So here's the Arran 10. In my market, still a great value for everything I just said, and a 10-year-old, around 55, let's say. But it really is about twice the price of this. So I would add a richness and some of the fruiting. Now, it's not, for me, an Arran 10 is not a fruit bomb, but it adds, like a cut pear or something that is a bit more expressive, some depth to kind of the sugar sweetness. Yeah, I would stand by that. And it maybe even rounds into a little bit of citrus, a little bit of lemon in there, cut grass. Almost a sweet maraschino cherry. Now, cherry is not really the right thing, but something sweet. But more depth on the nose. Let's try it on the palate. Sancha. And it's so much more expressive in the palate. In your mouth, we've got some significant spicing, and not just alcohol burn. And I find Arran tends to be a little more savory, so a little nutmeg, dry cinnamon, but not a lot of expressive hot heart cinnamon kind of thing, but a little bit in there, a little almost edge of clove. I'll try another sip. And that nut quality that I was getting, now there's a little bit of dry, bitter hazelnuts in here. Here it's not quite coconut, but it's a sweeter nut, and then every now and then it kind of jumps and plays into chocolate. I don't get a lot of chocolate in Arran. I'm just saying that's where that dry husky cocoa, I can get just an edge of that. This is a savory malt, and I was talking to cousin Brad actually about this, at how, like, I clearly enjoy Arran 10 quite a bit, but it's actually, I would say it's not a malt I would pour to someone I didn't know drank Scotch. I don't know how else to say that. There's a good amount of layers, good flavors. Is it more expressive than this? Yes. Is there a lot of other flavors to chase around and find than this blend? Yeah. And for me, where I am in my whiskey journey, it's worth saving up and buying this bottle, because the experience is just so much better. I'm not getting the marker. I'm not getting the acetone. I'm not getting that rubbing alcohol that, after a couple of drams, maybe I'm not going to notice it here, but I do notice it now. Sorry, back to that. The comment I was making with Brad is that this, I don't think, is as approachable. And I thought about that, because I thought, Online Whiskey Awards gave it the whiskey of the entrance Scotch of the year, and I appreciate that. But I almost think it's not, I hate to say it, but a lot of early whiskey drinkers, people that are early in the journey, tend to want a little more sweet or a little more fruit, like maybe some more sherry influence, or a little, and that's a total generalization. There's lots of people that have never had a whiskey and pick up a nice Ardbeg and are in love, right? So I'm just saying, in general, this is a good single malt, but one that if you had it and didn't like it, I'd wait a couple of years and come back to it, because I enjoy it more now than samples that I would have had early on. Anyways, I've rambled. I appreciate you coming down. I don't know if I should, I don't know what the accent should be, but Lochranza, I don't know if that's true, is a decent value blended Scotch, certainly at about $20, 25, I should say, 25 Canadian. But it has a number of blemishes, and if you're really looking for a sipper, probably save your money, wait, and then get the Arran 10 if you want that savory, or really you want to understand what the Arran distillery is like. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming by this Saturday. Hope your weekend's going great. Have a great week coming up.